Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. If you're on YouTube, please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live now or post a new video. I'm going to come a bit closer to you. And also, I'm streaming live on Facebook at the moment via my phone. So if you're on Facebook, don't forget to like Asexualise page, follow the Asexualise page, and underneath the live video, do me a favour, click the follow button so I come up in your watch feed. Let's get asexuality recognised as a sexual orientation around the no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule ever again. That is my mission. Now, welcome to another episode of Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month. This is our day 4, people. Day 4 that we're on, okay? So asexuality, Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month is in celebration of our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it. And in 2017, I published my first book for asexuals. This is what it looks like in glorious, new, pristine condition. This book will literally help you if you're new to asexuality, if you don't understand the asexual spectrum, and you just want to hear some relatable asexual stories to know that you are not alone and people do feel the way you feel. So this, like I said, celebrates our asexuality, our diversity, and all across the spectrum. So it's really, really good. Just as a side note, if you didn't know, I have got another book out, which is called Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook. It's how to manage fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy, and feel happy like a superhero rock star. So if you love reading autobiographical books and you love a superhero style book, this is the one for you. It teaches you how to basically get rid of pain in 25 aspects of your life. And if you don't have fibro, you can still put it to good use. Obviously, this is a not for sale copy, but you won't have that across the thing, across the top of the cover. So it's really, really cool read. Yes. So, and I do mention asexuality in this book to bring it to a bigger global audience. Right. So tonight's episode is really awesome because I am discussing basically what is the lack of sexual attraction. So let me have some water first. So asexuality is a sexual orientation that's the lack of sexual attraction. But a lot of people don't even know what the hell that means. It's like, okay, so you lack sexual attraction. What does that mean in practice? How does that work? You know, because most people believe that everyone feels sexual attraction, right? It's what people in society believe. It's what the heteronormative people believe. It's what heterosexuals believe. And so, you know, they're like, what the hell is that? And even a lot of asexuals don't seem to know what lack of sexual attraction is in general terms. There seems to be kind of some discrepancies. So we're going to be now listening to me read some of the asexual perspectives on what a lack of sexual attraction means to them, because obviously people can feel differently. So let's get cracking. So if you've got the printed copy of Asexual Perspectives, I'll be letting you know what page number to follow along with, right? So as you can see, I've got my little bookmarks in here. This is my worn copy. And yes. Hello, Karen, by the way. Karen watches usually on Facebook. Lots of love to you. She's got the book and said it's a good book. So I hope I pronounced your name correctly, by the way. So we're going to begin with Dee's story. Dee is on 117, page 117 in the book. So asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction. What does this mean to you, right? So basically, it means I don't want to sleep with anyone. When I see an attractive person on the street, I'm like, oh, what a fine specimen. And yes, perhaps my head turns, but there's nothing I want to do it beyond stare, which is rude, and I know I shouldn't do that. When I'm in a relationship with someone, I want to be physical and close, but not in a sexual way. Sexual acts only seem to have me do that. When I'm in a relationship with someone, I want to be physical and close, but not in a sexual way. Sexual acts only seem to have meaning because they have meaning to so many of the people around me. So, yeah, I just want to pick up on that point, you know. Basically, you know, it's a lot of the time, you know, we give importance to things that other people value. even if we don't value them, because we're taught as a society to worry and care about what other people think. And so we tend to like focus on stuff that other people find important, whereas we don't, right? And it's perfectly normal for asexuals to not need sex, to not get the urge for it, to not get want for it, to not get the need for it. And like this person says, you know, so many of the people around them. So, you know, sex seems to have more meaning to other people than it does to asexuals, because for us, sex is separate to love. Sex is separate to romance. It's not the same thing. So therefore, for us, it's not such a big deal. Whereas a lot of sexuals, for example, they intertwine sex and romance and love. They put it all together, and they put sexual attraction with all that type of stuff. So because they can't separate in their mind the sexual attraction from the romantic attraction. If someone isn't sexually attracted to them, they're not romantically attracted to them. If someone isn't sexually attracted to them, they usually put that with aesthetic attraction, and they feel rejected, because it's like, oh, someone doesn't find me good looking because they're not having sex with me. Whereas, as we know in asexuality, there's tons of different types of different attractions. So, you know, there's aesthetic attraction, romantic attraction, spiritual attraction, clothes attraction, creative attraction, you know, the emotional attraction, you know, it just goes on and on and on, the list does, right? Most popular ones are aesthetic attraction, romantic attraction, and, you know, those are the kind of the two main ones for asexuals. So obviously aromantics don't experience any romantic attraction. There are more aromantic asexuals usually than any other type of asexual, right? So you might have platonic feelings for people and stuff like that, platonic attraction if you want a relationship, right? I don't experience any platonic attraction whatsoever. So that's always difficult for me, but never mind. Right, so what are we looking at now? Right, we are going to right. Hanalei. Asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction. As an asexual, what does this mean to you? This is on page 127 if you've got the printed copy. Right. So, Hanalei, to me, I've never really separated out what sexual attraction and romantic attraction are supposed to be. So this is very interesting. See, contrasting with what I just said, that some asexuals don't separate that, right? As I experience neither. See? So, you know, it's good to have different perspectives, right? This person doesn't experience any at all, right? So, yeah, it's very, very interesting that they don't experience anything. And they are identified as an aromantic asexual who enjoys completely platonic touching, hugs, etc. with people they know well. And they might be demi-romantic, but as it hasn't happened yet, I've no way of knowing. It's something I haven't experienced, but I don't think I'm completely aromantic. So would be grey romantic then? I don't really care about the labels, but it's one of those things that is nice to know. So with that in mind, that they think they're aromantic but not fully aromantic, this is the perspective they're coming from. So they lack romantic attraction. So to them, as an aromantic asexual, they've never really been able to separate what sexual attraction and romantic attraction are supposed to be, as they don't experience neither. But for me, for Hanalei, I don't look at anyone with the intent to have sex with them. I see people that I think are pretty or cute, but never hot or sexy. It means that I feel awkward about telling someone that I don't find them attractive. It means that I have something positive to say about almost everyone I meet, because there is usually something pretty about them. But it is pretty the same way a garden or a cupcake is. Nothing more than, oh, hey, that looks nice. I love that saying. I love Hanalei. But it's pretty much the same way as a garden or cupcake is. Nothing more than, oh, hey, that looks nice. I think that's really funny. But it's quite true for aromantic asexuals, I think. If they experience romantic attraction, or if they experience aesthetic attraction. So this person is aromantic, they don't experience romantic attraction, but they think they're not fully aromantic, but they obviously have aesthetic attraction. Because aromantics, those that lack romantic attraction, can still have aesthetic attraction. Some people think that aromantics don't have any type of attraction, which is not actually correct, right? There's some aromantic asexuals, those that lack romantic attraction and sexual attraction, do actually have aesthetic attraction, which is what this person's describing here. So it's very, very interesting, is it not? Right, so let's get on to some more people. More perspectives, more asexual perspectives. Right, so we're now going to Ari's story, which is page 288 if you've got the printed copy. So asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction as an asexual. What does this mean to you? This is Ari's story. I think of it as a lack of interest in having sex with someone else, primarily. I also tend to associate it with a lack of interest in having sex as a general statement and the whole subject of sex. I'm uncomfortable with some of the definitions I see of asexuality. I see they try to be inclusive of everyone in a very broad range of asexual spectrum. Because I feel they're so wide, they're grouping in people who have nothing to do with me and sound like exactly the opposite of me. I generally think of asexuals as not being interested in seeking out sex, not lusting after particular people, and not finding sex more compelling than, yeah, that was fun, if they have it. So yeah, I mean, asexuality is a sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction. So in broad terms, we don't get the need, urge, want for partnered sexual intercourse. We don't look at someone and think, I want sex with you. That's the whole point. For someone who's on the grey end of the asexual spectrum, so they're not fully asexual, they're somewhere in between asexual and sexual, they do experience sexual attraction under limited, rare or specific circumstances, or not enough to want to act on it. Now, have you noticed there's two definitions there? A grey asexual could experience sexual attraction under limited, rare or specific circumstances. So if we take that person, there are some grey asexuals I've met who are like that, and they do want sex in a relationship. And that absolutely shocked me, because at the time I was interested in looking for a relationship. This is way before recently. And both of those people I spoke to, I think it was last year, and neither of them wanted a relationship without sex, and they're asexual. And I was kind of thinking, my God, if this is a grey asexual guy, like, what's the difference between me pursuing someone like that or being interested in someone like that and an actual heterosexual? I mean, there's not really any difference, is there, if they want sex in the relationship as well? And it's like, oh yeah, I'd like to at least try it, and I'd like sex to be a part of it. And so for me, it was a bit of a letdown, personally, as a heteromantic asexual. I really want an asexual guy who's not into sex at all, but into real lots of kissing. And it's really difficult, when you like guys and, you found them. Because obviously for me, I've got the grey area of kissing. So in some ways, I'd be better suited to grey asexual, But then they usually want to go further than I do. And so, with the fact that both these grey asexuals did want sex as part of a future relationship, and it seemed like they can actually be without it, that was very disheartening for me. Because I'm thinking, well, in that case, I may as well just open myself up wide to be with a heterosexual and having more choices, But I really don't want sex. And even if I ever did it again, which I don't intend to do, and the whole thing is like blurred to me, and I really don't want to go down that road again. But if I did, I'd just get so bored I wouldn't be able to keep it up, because I'd just be like, God, this is just so tiring and so boring. Whereas I don't find kissing boring. I find kissing exhilarating, thrilling, exciting, adrenaline rush, dopamine hit, gorgeous thrill all the time. So I don't get that with kissing. With kissing, I just love it, right? I just love kissing so much. For me, kissing's the exact opposite of sex, Sex is a bit like, oh God, do I really have to be doing this again? And these days I just don't want to do it. It's just too much hassle, too much bother, too much it's like, personally for me. But obviously I'm writing the Asexual Guide to Sex book at the moment, so I'm kind of reliving that sexual experience in the past and at the moment, which is very, very weird. It's very weird to see how I am now, like a sex-repulsed asexual, compared to before I knew I was asexual. And I used to have sex in the past. It's like, what's gone on? It's weird. It's kind of like two different people, but it's me. Two different worlds. A heterosexual world, but I thought I was heterosexual world and asexual world. Living in the same world. It's bizarre. It's like two completely different lives, which it is really. So yeah, it's bizarre, But I think obviously if I had sex, it would open my options up to having a lot more guys, like, to potentially have a relationship with, but I just couldn't keep up the level of sex that they would want. I would just get bored and I would just get fed up and I would be like, oh, I really don't want to be doing this again. It's just like, I just be kind of like forcing myself to do it, I think, because I'm really kind of repulsed by it these days. A lot repulsed, usually, by it. But I don't know if I'll ever change my mind as in terms of repulsion, as in I can be less repulsed by it because I'm writing the Asexual Guide to Sex, but I've been very repulsed writing some of that book because it's kind of like I'm having to write explicit stuff. But I'm getting more used to it now as time's going on. I'm getting more used to the sexually explicit stuff, which is kind of weird for me, but I laugh at myself because I'm revealing a lot of my past and I'm like, Sandra, how can you reveal that much of your intimate body parts and stuff you did? But it's to help asexuals, and I'm not anonymous. Everyone else in the book's anonymous, but I'm the author, and I don't hide. I don't have a pen name. I use my real name, and so yeah, everyone knows who I am. But hey ho, I just think I can't take it to the grave with me. What's the point in taking all this information to the grave with me and not helping anyone, right? So if I have to reveal very personal information, and I laugh at myself thinking, God, this is so explicit. It would be different if it was like a fiction book, right? Where it was just imagination, but when you're actually using your own past, it's kind of like strange and bizarre. But like I said, I don't believe in taking things to the grave with me and not helping people. If it helps someone to understand the situation better, to be safe themselves, to understand how things mechanically work, then I just think it's better to do that. You know, I don't really have any fears. It's a past life. I haven't had sex since 2011. I'm really happy I haven't had it for 10 years this year. It's like Ali effing Lunia, right? It's go good for me personally because I don't want that again, you know. I just really want to find a decent asexual guy who, you know, just is into kissing and not into sex and loves chatting and hanging out and cuddling and holding hands and being like a teenager all the time. Being like a teenager, not a teenager. I just have to stress that, right? So yeah, it's very interesting that someone on the aromantic spectrum, though, didn't actually separate romantic attraction from sexual attraction. Very interesting, that, isn't it? So, but yeah, like I said, with Ari's story, you know, it's good that we have loads of different asexuals all across the spectrum, but I do understand what they mean. Like, in order for the general population to understand how asexuality differs from any other sexual orientation, we really need to be promoting the sex repulsion element of it a lot more. Because obviously we need people to differentiate our sexual orientation from all the others out there, including the LGBT. Because if all people see is LGBT, then they're going to think we all want sex. We just want it in a different way. And that's not actually true. And the only way we're going to change the kind of world and society, if you like, is by people understanding there are genuinely people out there. So don't get the need urge you want for partnered sexual intercourse. You know, it's not we're frigid. We've got a weird condition. It's not our hormones that need checking. It's not, you know, some sort of mental disorder. It's not some sort of sexual dysfunction. It's just the fact we don't get the need urge you want for partnered sexual intercourse. I know for a fact that I'm asexual. You know, I know looking back, I've always been asexual. I've never ever looked at someone and thought, I really want sex with you. Only guys, because I'm only interested in guys, you know. I'm not interested in any other gender, right? And so, you know, I just, you know, I don't feel that way. I genuinely, even though I experience arousal quite a lot sometimes, I just don't experience any sexual attraction. I'm not sexually attracted to anyone. The arousal has nothing to do with the desire to have sex, because I don't have that desire, you know. So for me, I lack sexual attraction and I lack sexual desire because I don't desire the sex itself, and I don't, you know, experience sexual attraction. Right, so we're going to go to Thomas's story now, page 322, if you've got the printed copy of the book. Asexuality is lack of sexual attraction. As an asexual, what does this mean to you? To me, the lack of sexual attraction, this is Thomas's story, means being unencumbered by the primal instincts that drive so many to bad partners, as sex eventually takes over the whole relationship. And once that sexual attraction is gone, the relationship begins to suffer as well. A lack of sexual attraction means that instead of going off on the primal urge to merge, an asexual can focus on the truly important aspects of the relationship. And I really want to dive a bit deeper into that with you. So this is really important, right? This is a point I make quite a lot on this channel. And that is, when people get together because of sexual attraction, and that sexual attraction is so powerful, it kind of creates a fog around their mind where they don't really see the potential pitfalls and the other problems that a relationship could encounter, right? They just have this massive sexual attraction, this really strong desire to have sex with each other. It's based on very physical appearance, physical energy, sexual energy, and they kind of get together, and as they get together then they start realizing that they're not compatible, that they don't have much in common, that they don't have any understanding very much between one another, their communication skills with each other aren't great, and they end up being quite incompatible, right? This is not true of everyone, but this is true of quite a few people. And I think it does lead people to bad partners. I think it does lead to a lot of drama, a lot of pain and heartache. However, as a romantic asexual, for me, romantic attraction gets really strong really quickly. And sometimes that can lead me astray. Sometimes that can be very difficult, and it can mean that I can end up getting or liking someone who's not right for me. But usually I don't get straight into a relationship with a person like that. Whereas with sexual attraction, kind of people jump into bed and have sex and kind of they're in a relationship then, But with my romantic attraction, I can get to feeling like I want a relationship quickly, especially if I think the guy seems right for me. But you can't really tell, can you, at the beginning? But this is the whole point of any type of attraction, not just sexual attraction. To be fair, that any type of really strong attraction can lead to a relationship that's not necessarily right. But if you're asexual, you're more likely to be able to have a successful relationship, because if you've not got the sexual attraction in the first place, when you're talking with each other, you're talking about everything but sex. So you're kind of focusing a lot more on the person's personality. You're focusing on the way they speak to you and communicate with you. You're focusing more on their body language, as in their mannerisms. Are they smiling? Are they standoffish with you? If you do video chat with them, are they welcoming towards you? Do they let you into their life and their world? And also, you are focusing a lot more on hobbies and interests and compatibility of how you get on in the day-to-day world. And you're just you really are focusing on kind of all the basic essential needs of a healthy, happy relationship, or you should be, right? And how to make that dynamic work. And I think it's good to not have that sexual attraction element, because then you'll focus a lot more on the more like Thomas says, the more important aspects of a relationship, which are deepest ever friendship, deep emotional connection, shared interests, complementary lifestyles. You don't have to be the same as the other person. In fact, it's good to have some differences and some variations, because you want an interesting relationship, right? You don't want a boring one. So if you've both got different projects, but the point is you're both working on projects, it can be quite exciting and fascinating. It's like, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. Well, that's what I believe anyway. I believe that when you're both having your own creative energies, you're both putting your time, energy, effort into other things, but you're keeping kind of the other person informed and in your life, so they feel included. I kind of think that's really nice and special. Even with my best asexual friend, me and them kind of share our day and what we're doing. And if they're doing their space era and I'm doing writing my book or whatever I'm doing, I've just started a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner certification course, if you didn't watch my earlier videos. So I'm doing that as well as the Asexual Guide to Sex Book now, So I'm learning a neuro-linguistic programming on a much more higher level than I've done the basic, right? But this is a basic to advanced course, but I've done a bit of NLP with a live coaching course. I did a weekend live coaching course with the Coaching Academy, and as far as I know, I'm the only asexuality and asexual coach in the whole of the world at the moment, as far as I know. And if coaching is something you're interested in, asexualise.com, just go there and check out my page on coaching. And obviously I've got the group coaching in Asexualise Academy Club. That's on the front of asexualise.com if you want to join that group, and have coaching pretty much with me every single day on mindset, self-love, productivity, realizing your dreams, obviously asexuality, living your best asexual life, all that type of thing, and different aspects of living your best asexual life. I did say earlier that I'm not living as best asexual life as I want to at the moment, in terms of I think I've got to work on myself with my self-love, and also work on myself with my life skills and stuff, which is why I'm doing the neuro-linguistic programming course, and also to be able to coach asexuals better. So I'm kind of upgrading myself to a better version of me. I think it's always important to work on yourself, and I think that when you do get into a relationship, if you work on yourself and you're always self-reflecting and developing yourself, you're going to have a much better chance of actually having a strong, successful relationship. When people are not working on themselves, they're not self-reflecting, they're not really in the relationship, they're not really thinking about how they're going to grow it, how they're going to grow as a person in it, and how they're going to grow as a team, So it's very important that you do some self-development work on yourself and self-reflect. And if you've had some bad experience of relationships in the past, get some therapy, get some help, help yourself. Don't just leave it, because everyone deserves love, including asexuals, right? We can have a successful relationship, we just need to know the skills it takes, right? And some of us have got bad programming and conditioning from past relationships, bad coping skills. That can be true in the relationship sense, or it can just be true of you as in a person. You might have bad coping mechanisms that are destructive, right? You need to get them sorted out, right, to be able to have a loving, happy, healthy relationship going forward with anyone. Right, so Anne's story. So we're on page 398 of the book. So asexuality is lack of sexual attraction as an asexual. Anne, what does this mean for you? Since I identify as demisexual, I suppose I'm not completely lacking in sexual desire, though I seem to have only felt it towards the person I'm with now. So I view it as being on the asexuality spectrum, sort of like how Asperger's syndrome is considered to be on the autistic spectrum. But when I asked Anne, because they said they don't, they're lacking in sexual desire, and I asked them that question was obviously, do you feel sexual attraction? But asexual is a lack of sexual attraction. What does this mean to you? And they said, well, since I identify as a demisexual, I suppose I'm not completely lacking in sexual desire. But then I asked them afterwards, do you believe sexual attraction and sexual desire are the same thing or different? And they answered, I can see the two being somewhat different, as I view desire as a stronger form of attraction. Both concepts seem to be somewhere nebulous to me in any case. So, it's interesting that, how a demisexual feels, A demisexual, in case you didn't know, is an asexual that can only experience sexual attraction once a very deep emotional bond has been formed. And then, of course, if that's only once in a blue moon, then they're going to really feel deeply for that person that they've got feelings for, because they're going to know it's quite rare and special, right? And they probably are going to think it's special if they've got the mindset they're a sex positive asexual. If they were a sex repulsed demisexual, they probably would be like, yeah, what do I do now? So Juanita's on page Juanita, yes, let's see. Yeah, Juanita is on page 465, the printed copy of the book. So, what does asexuality, which is a lack of sexual attraction as an asexual, what does this mean to Juanita, right? Most of the time I'm attracted to everyone on the same level, which is that I recognise beauty and loving people and their senses of humour and characters, but I don't necessarily want to have sex with them. This has led me to question if I'm really gay. because I find men as attractive as women on the generic level, but I don't want to actually have sex with anyone. The idea of it freaks me out. But in saying that, when I really get to know someone on an intimate level, then I think about becoming more intimate and fantasize about kissing. But still, I get blocked at the idea of actually having sex. I think about sex or even watch porn. I might think about sex or even watch porn, but flatline when it goes beyond kissing. But if I love them, then I will go beyond the kissing, but really only to keep them happy, not really for myself. So this is very interesting thing, you know. So personally for me, I don't watch porn. I don't like it. I have no interest in it. And for me, I'm that sex repulsed these days that I can't actually think I would ever have sex again in my life. I mean, obviously, I just said earlier that, you know, even if I did have it, which I don't see me ever doing again, you know, I wouldn't be able to keep it up because I'd just be so bored and fed up with it. And it's like, it's too much hard work and I'm really, it doesn't feel natural right to me, you know. It's just like too much hard work and too much like hassle and too much like I really don't want to be doing this. I could be doing kissing instead, which is much, much, much healthier, much happier. You know, you can't get pregnant unless you're doing stuff down below at the same time and changing fluids, which you shouldn't be doing really. So, you know, kissing for me is the ultimate. Kissing is like my sex. Kissing is the ultimate thing for me. I don't want to go any further than that. And that's why it's difficult to ever be in a relationship with anyone other than an asexual guy, because for sexuals, kissing is a prequel to sex, right? They see kissing as, oh, I'm putting my body in the mood for sex. I'm getting aroused through kissing. This person wants sex with me, right? And for me, the kissing is the ultimate intimacy. It's equivalent to a sexual person's sex. You know, my kissing, it's like the ultimate intimacy. Obviously, I do that. You know, like if I'm in a relationship, I will be lying on the bed with them with bodies intertwined with clothes on. Some of the time, I'll be on the bed. You know, like I'll be out with them as well, not just staying indoors all the time. You know, but you know, that's my intimacy. If I'm kissing in a club, I tend not to let the guy get as close to my body, and how he's got like zones, or you know, like don't touch here, don't touch there, so it's a bit different. And so yeah, I you know, for me, like I said, kissing is the ultimate thing, and I think it's very difficult when you're asexual if you are romantic in nature and you do strongly desire a romantic relationship. And trying to explain to a sexual person that you don't experience sexual attraction is kind of like really hard sometimes, because sometimes they just don't believe you. But it's their problem if they don't believe you, right? You have done your bit by telling them and explaining to them what it is. A person who's respectful will treat you with respect and will understand and appreciate that's who you are, right? And they won't try and pressurize you and push you into something you don't want to do. They won't talk rudely, and they won't start speaking about stuff you don't like, right? They will just, even if they're a sexual person, they'll just respect you, which is what it's all about, right? Love people for who they are and respect them, right? So it's very, very important. So, yes, that's Juanita. So, for me, I really have a very simple definition of asexuality, which you've probably already heard. So I'm in the book. My personal story is in the book, and my questions and answers are on page. You know, for this particular question is 511 of the printed version, right? The asexual perspectives. So asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction as an asexual. What does this mean to you? So simply for me, as a female heteromantic asexual who's only ever attracted to guys, I don't ever look at a guy and think I want sex with him. And that is how I discovered that I am 100% asexual, as in the sense I experienced no sexual attraction. Because when I first came to the community and I was on asexuality.com and I saw this guy held meetups in London, asexual meetups, and I asked him what type, I described how I felt, how I was only interested in guys and knew that for definite, no other gender, and how, you know, that I wanted a relationship. You know, I strongly loved kissing, passionate kissing with a tongue, but I didn't want sex. And he said that I was a grey asexual, definitely because of that reason, right? So I thought that, you know, somewhere in between asexual and sexual, and the fact that it says experienced sexual attraction but not enough to want to act on it. That's what I thought I was, right? And it's only when I came across asexuality.org and people were actually talking about sex that my body started doing weird stuff, like aroused. And I hate sex, but the word, triggered my arousal in my genitals. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? That bit has a mind of its own. This is really crazy. I didn't realize that. But if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't have understood that arousal is completely separate to sexual attraction. And that what I experienced before then with my exes when I had sex, for example, wasn't actually sexual attraction. It was high arousal levels when kissing or being touched, for example. And I realised that I'd never actually looked at any of my exes and thought, I want sex with you. And therefore, I knew that sexual attraction was the need, urge, want to have sex with the person. And that's something I never experienced in my life, And so for me, that is what a lack of sexual attraction means. It means you don't get the need, urge, want for partnered sexual intercourse. Some people masturbate, that's not the same. Because you're just doing stuff for yourself. It's lack of sexual attraction towards someone else. And, to have partnered sexual intercourse with them, basically. So I lack that. I don't experience any sexual attraction. I don't look at someone and think I want sexual intercourse with them. The guys that were my boyfriends in the past I had sex with, it was usually instigated by them. And the only reason I instigated occasionally, I think very, very rarely with my last ex, who I was with in total for 8.5 years, was because I want to feel in control of it sometimes, rather than being out of control. But when I had sex, sometimes it just left me feeling raw and, it's just not nice for me. And so sometimes I used to cry. I didn't know why, but obviously now I know I'm asexual and I've known that since 2014. That would be why, because it was kind of taking away something from me or I was giving something that wasn't really great for me to give because I'm asexual, and it's kind of like, having sex really is not who I am. I don't experience a sexual attraction. I don't need that. It's not anything like I need, and so therefore there's not really a need for it. But having experience like crying sometimes afterwards, it's very weird. It's like I don't know exactly why I'm crying, but most people find sex a pleasurable thing, but obviously if I'm crying after it, it's not really that nice for me, is it? You know what I mean? It's kind of really emotional and it's too much and it's just like not great, So personally for me, I don't want to do that again. It's not like I don't know how to do it. It's not like I can't do it if I really, really, really wanted to. But the whole point is I don't really, really want to at all. I don't feel that way. And I haven't been able to bring myself to do that since 2011. I'm not between 2011 up to 2014, really, when I found out I was asexual. I was kind of like pushing myself to see if I could do that, and I really can't. Just my brain doesn't want it. I'm not interested in it. So I hope this has helped you to understand what a lack of sexual attraction is. Basically, I don't see someone and think, I want sex with you. It just doesn't compute in my brain. But I'm attracted to guys in lots of other ways, just not sexually, and for me, not platonically either. So, but, I'm staying single for now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But, that's some of the difficulties that you experience as an asexual person, is if you have attraction for people, you'd like a relationship, but most people in the world are heterosexual, right? And it's kind of like, or at least sexual, and it's kind of like a lot of asexuals, they get worried that they're not going to find a suitable relationship. They're going to end up with the wrong person who wants sex or wants things that they don't want to do, or they're going to be alone forever, or, or they want to date, they want a relationship, but they're too scared to put themselves out there because of what people think, and also most people want sex, and it's disappointing when you really would love it if sexuals would be like, yeah, your personality is so awesome, I really just want to be with your personality, I don't care about sex, I can have it because I'm heterosexual, I experience sexual attraction, but hey, I just, I can live without it. It would be great if more and more heterosexuals felt like that, right? But they're few and far between that feel like that. Most of them are actually kind of like trying to hold themselves back from having sex in order to be in the relationship with the person of their dreams, right? And so that makes it difficult for sexuals in that position. Even though I'm asexual, I can still understand sexuals, right? But, you know, most sexuals cannot live without sex, even if they say they can. And there's always a danger that if you are with a sexual person, that they could cheat and things like that. And for me personally, you know, I get anxiety, relationship anxiety, or potential relationship anxiety as it is. And I think if to be with a sexual person would just be too much, I'd always be worried all the time they're going to cheat on me. Are they flirting with other women, chatting up other women? You know, are they having sex behind my back? And I don't think I could ever shake that. I don't think I could ever totally trust them in that way. They'd always be in the back of my mind, like, are they just saying that to keep me happy? Are they really just seeing other women and stuff? So I don't think I could ever be in a serious long-term committed relationship with a heterosexual. I just don't see it somehow. It would have to be a guy who I would utterly trust was telling the truth if he said he could live without that. And really the majority just, they well-intentioned, some of them, but it just becomes too much for them to live without sex, right? I think there's rare people that can do it. I think there are probably the ones that aren't really bothered about sex. There's some heterosexuals that still aren't that bothered about sex. It's not that big a deal for them. They've got a lot of other things in life, like projects and stuff, and it's really no big deal to them. There are a few people like that in the world, but majority, you know, it's like they want it at some point. They want to experience it. They want to have that. And usually once sexuals start having sex, they want to carry it on. You know, it's only when people don't want sex, like they might try it in their 20s and think, God, that wasn't the experience I thought it would be. I'm not really into that. Where they question whether they're asexual or not, you know. And like we know, some asexuals on the grey end of the asexual spectrum, they fantasize about sex, but they don't actually want it in reality. And I wonder how many people, guys in the world, are actually like that. I wonder how many guys fantasize over stuff, but actually having it in reality would repulse them. But because they, you know, they haven't really thought about separating the fantasy from the reality, they don't actually know that information about themselves. So I'm quite curious about that, you know. I wonder how many are actually like that, you know. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful, helpful, insightful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. I really love your support, as always. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video. Please tell your friends about this channel. Get them to be here for Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month. Get them to come and chat. Get them to just go through the videos. There's over 5.5 years of content on this channel. There'll be 6 years this October worth of content, you know. That is a lot of asexual help, a lot of resources, a lot of information on this channel. So please do go back and watch some of my other videos. You can type in the video, you know, search bar, whatever type of video you're looking for, and it should come up with something suitable for you, right? Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I really love you to bits. And as always, embrace your quirky, embrace your inner ace, and I will see you on the next video or live stream. Take care. Lots of love, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye. Thanks for watching. Hey.